Jai Shri Krishna. For this evening's session, we are going to carry on with chapter 8. And this time we are going to dwell on slok 9 and 10. Very interesting sloks as well. If you remember, we discussed about how to achieve the divine, how to reach the highest reality. There is a need for a constant practice, and hence we talked about Abhyas Yoga. But that is not alone. You need also to have a constant mind, fixed mind, not a fluctuating, wavy type of mind. These are the two main requirements, constant practice and a fixed mind. If you have these, then the probability of us reaching the highest is quite good. Also remembering that the mind, a portion of the mind, is said to be part of the divine. So in other words, we already have a particular communication ourselves with the divine, constant communication. It's a question of now practicing it and getting it on the right track. When we say constant practicing, what could be better than the daily prayer that we have every day? We can therefore put these two slokas integrated in our daily prayer, and when we are going to read our prayers or recite our prayer, it is a constant practicing. And if we are able to keep our mind well, when the time will come for us to leave this body and reach the highest, it will be perhaps better, more convenient, easier. I'm going therefore just to attempt to read the two slokas and leaving these to ourselves to see how we can integrate it into our daily prayers. Jai Shri Krishna. Kavim Purana Manusha Sitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaritya Sarvasya Dhatarabhimachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat Prayaana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Bravora Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Param Purusha Mupeti Divyam. Jai Shri Krishna. Vasudevam Sutang Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.
Jai Shri Krishna, everyone. So we are still in the Akshar Brahma Yoga chapter 8, and we saw last time the text number 6, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tejante Kalevaram Tantam Evaiti Sadatan Bhava Bhavitaha. Whatever state of being one remembers at the time of death, that state he will attain without fail. And then text 7 says that therefore, Arjun, you should always think of me, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty, what you should do as your dharma, as your karma. And with that dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will definitely attain me. There is no doubt about it. And text 8 says that he who meditates on me as the Supreme God, his mind always, satata, his mind always being absorbed in me, remembering me, and undeviated way is without any deviation. So as Purusham, as Param Purusham, he is sure to reach me. Today's number 9 is today's shlok. So Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Manoraniyam Samanushmaredhya Sarvasya Dhataramachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasah Parastat. Very beautiful verse. This is Kavim Puranam. Kavi is not necessarily mean that he's a poet. Kavi means he who knows everything. Puranam, he's the oldest. He's the oldest person who knows everything. And he's the controller. Anuraniyam samanusmaredhya. Anuraniyam sam, meaning that he is beyond the atom. In fact, God is controlling the entire universe, the entire cosmic system, up to the smallest thing in our body, in everywhere, everything that surrounds us. And so he is beyond the atom also. The same energy that is making the Earth, for example, all the planets do their orbit. The Earth is traveling at a speed of 32 miles per second in space and is doing its orbit. And that energy which is making the Earth do its orbit, that is God's energy. And the same energy is in our body. The same energy is everywhere. The same energy is beyond the atom. And this is where it is beautiful to understand the Nataraj, the cosmic dance of Lord Shiva. You see, because the atoms, all the molecules are always dancing with each other. So this is just like cosmic dance of Lord Shiva. And this has been, I think, somewhere in Australia, they have placed a statue of Lord Shiva, defining that this is cosmic dance. And it is a scientific explanation, if you want. So he is beyond the atom and smaller than the smallest. He is maintaining everything. He is beyond any material conception. He is not conceivable. He is luminous like the sun, and he is beyond everything that is material. Aditya Varnan Tamasa Parastat, because we are in tamasic nature. We have tamasic nature. We have sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic nature. But he is beyond all this. He's just like the sun, which has no darkness in it. So he's beyond everything which is tamas. And the next verse, prayaana kale manasachalena bhakta yukto yoga balena chaiva dhruvor madhye pranamaveshya samyak satam param purusham upaiti divyam. Prayaana kale, at the time of death, if somebody remembers me, he's saying, he's placing his eyes through his eyebrows. This is a very difficult thing, because at the time you are leaving the body, what are you thinking? What pains you are getting? That we don't know. But the explanation behind, the philosophy behind is that the whole of our life, at every moment, we should devote ourselves to the service of God in any way, through our words, through our action, through our thought. In any way, we should devote our attention. We should link ourselves with the Supreme God. Bahut dhanyawad.
Jai Shri Krishna. Thank you, Bhai Lala. We are on chapter 8, attaining the Supreme. And Bhai Ajay has done such a beautiful summary of 8, 9, and 10. So there is no need for much of repetition. link that I can see is to attain the Supreme, and 8, the one who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with mind constantly engaged and undeviated from the path, is sure to reach me. This is the 8, the summary of 8. And the 9 says, the qualities of the Supreme Personality of Lord. The qualities meaning one who knows, he knows everything. Who is the object, who is the controller of everything. He is the smallest than the smallest, as Bhai Ajay has rightly pointed out, and the maintainer of everything. So all the chapter in verse 9 tells us about the powers, the energies of the Lord, the inconceivable. We cannot even think about it. How powerful, how energetic is the Lord. And yet, the Lord also resides in us. How beautiful. Smallest than the smallest, and the greatest than the greatest. And we are lucky to have Lord Krishna within us. And then on 10, so at the time of death, again, Lord says how to reach him. Just think about between the eyebrows, the prana, the life force, the prana. And as Brother Bhayat said, it is difficult, but it is practice, undeviated practice. Bhakti, the word is bhakti yoga, devotional service. That is the path to reach the Lord. That is what I would summarize, and I won't spend too much time on what has already been said. Jai Shri Krishna.
The above chapter, the above verse 9 and 10, describes the fit states of mind, or prana, or life energy, when the yogi finally renounces the body and re-enters Brahma, Nirvana, or cosmic consciousness. Constant practice or abhyasa yoga is a sure means to achieve this sublime end. Yes, I said, okay, I'm going this. The eightfold glory of the Lord has to be deeply meditated on daily so that the mind and the intellect be cast permanently in that mold. The 8 super earthly distinctions of Ishvara or Bhai Ajay has already, Nephew Ajay had already spoken about them, and I will briefly tell them, enumerate them. First is Kavi. Kavi means omniscient, all-knowing, all-wise. Secondly is Purana, the ancient one. Thirdly is Anusasita, the ruler, the designer of the cosmos. Fourth, Anuranian, that is the subtlest of the sepal, the finest. Fifthly, the Sarvasya Dhata, he who support all, as the ocean support the waves. Sixthly, the Asin Tyarupa, incomprehensible to mind that is not purified. Incomprehensible to mind that is not purified. Seventh, Aditya Varna, that is the brightness shining ability of the sun, whichever is the same. And 8, and the last, Tamasa Parastat, the state of the Paramatma being supremely above the darkness of ignorance, exactly as the sun is not, affected by the patch of cloud seeming to hide it.
Unfortunately, there are many who can't remember the Lord. Some have tried all types of tricks to think of the Lord at the time of death, but this is not possible because if he has not been practicing it throughout his life, I think it is very difficult. For example, if we take the case of the shopkeeper, who tried to be smart and named his three sons after the name of the Ram, Krishna, Lakshman, thinking that at the time of his death, at least one of his sons would be up by his side and he can take that name. But unfortunately, when he saw the three sons, he said, but who is looking after the shop? And at the same time, he left his body. Recommends that one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as one knows everything. Lord Krishna, who knows everything, and he is the oldest, he is a Purusa, he is a controller of everything, and is smaller than the smallest. And he is a maintainer of everything, and is beyond every material things. The Lord is not impersonal or void. So we have to, that's why he has taken the form of a person, so that we can meditate, we can think of him. The Lord is more effulgent, more luminous than the sun, and we must meditate between the eyes, in the middle of the eyebrows, and do it constantly, do it regularly, so that at the time of death we can remember the Lord. So we can meditate on Rama or Krishna, because he's Purusa, a person, not someone who is impersonal or some else who is void. He's not void. He also controls everything and maintaining everything. So it is better for us to accept everything mentioned by the Lord, or in the sacred books like the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow all principles set down. So by doing so, we can attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jai Shri Krishna.
In fact, before I make a comment on this, I will just refer you to another slok related to this aspect of what happens to us if when we are leaving, when we are taking our last breath. You may recall that when we did chapter 14, we're talking about Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, and that we're also concerned about what happens to somebody who is Rajasic. Where does he go? If somebody is Tamasic, where does he end up? Or when somebody is Sattvic, where does he end up? Who will go in the best place, sort of? So this is somewhat treated in 14, chapter 14 at slok 18, where it says something like that. I'm not sure to be able to read it properly, but it says urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtanti rajasaha jaghanya yunya vritasthata aknaura gachanti tama saha. Meaning that the sattva abiding will go upwards, rajasic will dwell in the middle, and tamasic will go down. In other words, it means that when somebody is leaving the world, if he happens to be a sattvic, he will be evolved. Going upward doesn't mean by height, meaning in evolution. That those who are rajasic, that are passion, they are bound by passion, they will stay in the middle. They can neither be better evolved nor go down. Stay in the middle. Whereas someone who is tamasic, according to Bhagavan, he will definitely go to a lower level of evolution. But why did I mention that? That the subject matter in these verses 9 and 10, although it looks similar, that it is treating or what happens to when someone is departing from his body, where does he go? And here it says, according to the predisposition of whether he was a sattvic, tamasic, or rajasic, where does you go? It is different. This is different. Here in the question of 18, chapter 14, verse 18, we are talking of what are we predisposed of. That are we tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic. But at a later stage, when Arjunji will ask Bhagwan Shri Krishna, what is the nature of someone who is beyond the guna? Remember we did that as well. I think the same chapter. Beyond, meaning you are not attached. You are not attached of any of the modes of action. You're above being sattvic. So when you are above being sattvic, Bhagwan said that you are now in a position to meet him, to go, to be merged with him, with a supreme reality. So there is a difference. Or sometimes we have to detach ourselves. We are bound to the worldly matters, so we have to detach ourselves, go beyond the three gunas. Then you become in a position of then knowing where you go to the supreme reality. But then the conditions now in verses 9 and 10 that have been mentioned, you'll find there are twofold. One is, as you have all said already, there is a need for a constantly practicing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Closing here. Yogesham Satchidanandam Vasudevam Vajapriyam Dharma Samsthapakam Viram Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.